Hello once again to my video series on Fakemon. We're at the third episode of 6 now, and it only took 1 billion years to come out, which is still a lot farther than I figured I'd ever be able to get in this series. This episode is covering something a little more official. While Gamefreak and Nintendo are not totally wide open about their company processes when creating new games, they have made several interviews and given us a bit of insight into the Pokemon creation process. Now, I'm here to present to you some of what Gamefreak and the Pokemon company go through whenever they design a Pokemon, and the rules they follow in the hopes that you'll be able to apply those same rules when creating your own Fakemon. That said, I hope you enjoy the video. First up, in an interview with Game Informer, the video game magazine, a number of interesting facts about the Pokemon design process were brought up. The first thing I would like to mention in this video comes from that interview. That thing is the variety of inspirations the creators can get for their Fakemon. Junji Masuda of Gamefreak says that the graphic designers are obviously going to be the ones finalizing the look, but it's not just the graphic designers who come up with ideas or even draw the Pokemon. The kinds of places that Masuda says Pokemon can come from include when battle designers are looking for new moves, when one of the game's writers needed a design for a part of the story, or when just any member of the team wants to explore a new animal that hasn't been made into a Pokemon. Not only that, but in a recent interview about the designs of many of Pokemon Black and White's designs show that they often get calls from higher ups to fill certain types, abilities, or any other number of factors. What we can take from this is that you shouldn't limit yourself to animal inspirations for Pokemon. Any aspect, be it a type combo you want to fill or a character in your story which has a certain flair you want to make a new Pokemon for, can serve as the initial basis for your Pokemon design. Something I mentioned in my last video is the importance of providing a reason for an evolution. This is parroted in several interviews with the Pokemon design team, namely in an interview with Game Informer, where Masuda says that often the easy road for an evolution is just to make the Pokemon more. Starting with a cat Pokemon, Masuda says the easy road would be to just add more heads, but that it would probably get shot down, even as a major member of the Pokemon team, if he wasn't able to find a good reason as to why it suddenly gained 2 heads. On the topic of putting thought into your Pokemon, an interview in the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon's guide revealed some interesting details about the sort of thought that's put into Pokemon designs. Ken Sugimori talks about putting a focus on figuring out how any given Pokemon fits into their environment. Eating habits are an oft mentioned example. In both the guide and in interviews with other gaming magazines, designers of Pokemon say that they always find a way for a Pokemon to be able to get food or some form of nutrition. It's said that by putting this level of thought into the designs, the Pokemon team helps turn their monster designs into something that feels more like a wild animal that the people of the Pokemon world can find in their day-to-day lives all around them. In my opinion, this is the sort of thing that helps separate Pokemon from other modern franchises, where the collected creatures are far more separate from the world around them. When you create your Fakemon, try to put some level of thought into how their Pokemon interacts with the environment and the other Pokemon around it, to give it that special Pokemon attention to detail. Next up, I have a couple notes that are specifically about the things the Pokemon company thinks about when creating features for one specific Pokemon design. In an interview with Silicon Era, Ken Sugimori revealed something I've always thought even before I started researching this video, and that is that it's important to never make a Pokemon too cool. Specifically, he refers to keeping the balance with Pokemon design. Whenever he's designing a Pokemon, changes to the design will be made to avoid the Pokemon being too cutesy, too cool, or too ugly. And that's not to say cool or cute Pokemon don't get made. Examples like Lucario, Blaziken, or something like Mareep are evidence enough that those Pokemon are made. But the important thing is that things are added to avoid making them too cool. For example, when asked about Luxray as a cool Pokemon, Sugimori replies, "If you were to make Luxray's head smaller and eyes sharper, it would look cooler. But making it cooler is an adjustment I wouldn't dare to do." Basically, you should always make your Fakemon on some level imperfect. It's those imperfections that will make a Pokemon memorable and relatable, which are the qualities that get you a beloved Pokemon. Relatedly, the final key to Pokemon that Gamefreak follows is to make sure any Pokemon has some level of friendliness to design. Pokemon are creatures that can be fought, but, most importantly, they can be captured and turned into allies and friends. It's because of this purpose as friends and tools of people, Sugimori says, that Pokemon need to be designed as allies as much as they're designed as wild animals. If a Pokemon was too big or too aggressive looking, then it won't work as a member of a player's team. So if you're designing a Fakemon, even one with a dangerous story, be sure to stop yourself from making that a little too disturbing or edgy, because it's the softer edges of the giant rampaging Godzilla that separate it from any other kind of video game monster. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the third episode of my Fakemon series. A lot of life stuff got in the way of this, and thanks for staying patient. If all goes well, I might actually be able to finish this whole series. There's only 3 episodes left. If you can, I'd really appreciate if you could like the video and share it with any other fans of Pokemon you know. That sort of stuff really does help me out. Be sure to subscribe, and you can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Moreover, I'd love for you to share your thoughts below in the comments so we can get a conversation going, and for you to tell me what you think of the direction this series is going in. I'm Bob the Seagull King, and thank you for watching. Sayonara.